I spelled in a child.
You were telling your Freddie King that story. I had a Muddy Waters story like that. Of course, it was.
You do?
But just when I was very young.
The Mud, man. He was the great. I only got to meet him once, but I did get his.
Thank you, Kurt.
I did get his autograph on a paper plate. It was the only thing that was around. He was playing the Antones in Austin, and you might want to get all this.
Yes. Are we on?
Muddy was playing Antones in Austin, and he had played about an hour and 15-minute show, and the place was packed. It was his last time to ever play Austin. He came, Clifford brought him in as much as he could, and the T-Birds were backing him up. Always did. You know, that was his favorite band, the original T-Birds. And Muddy was sitting in the back little room, Clifford's office, and he had a thing of champagne. He wasn't like a drinker, but he liked his champagne.
Right.
That was his celebratory.
Champagne and reefer, if you will, I believe, as the song goes.
I believe it was, yes. Well, I wasn't going to mention that, but
that's all right. It's cable.
Now that's right. And the crowd was going, Muddy, 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 you know. And he's just sitting back there, and his eyes looked so tired, man. You know, he was just about 2 months before he passed.
I remember it.
And he said, Clifford said, Mud, they really want you out there. And he looked up, and I never will forget it. As long as I live, those old eyes looked up, and he went, I'm an old man. And he didn't go out.
He said, forget it.
No, he didn't go out. He had done his show, and it was great.
I'm sure it was, Mike.
So you having fun?
I'm having really good time. We had a good time last night, feasting.
Did we feast or did we feast?
We feasted.
I want to tell you, after the appetizer, I was ready to lay down. That was it. Gee. The salad and the appetizer would have done me fine. I didn't need the rest.
Yeah, but we didn't stop, did we?
No, we did not.
We continued on.
And the desserts were excellent.
They were very good. Yeah. Very good. So tell us a little bit about you got this new Lester of Doom. You started off playing Lesters. I remember years ago. I saw you at an event for another company which shall remain nameless. But and then I saw you. I remember I went and saw you at the Wisconsin State Fair. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, I remember playing that.
And then I saw you playing Goldtops again, and I actually we have a mutual friend in Johnny Sandlin. I did some recording down at Johnny's place.
I love Johnny's. The Duck.
Yes, indeed.
The Duck.
And so it was wild getting together last night.
So you recorded
down
there
at Duct Tape.
Duct Tape?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, Duct Tape is you can record there too. It's in Decatur, Alabama, and it's in his mom and dad's old house, and that studio's where Greg and Dwayne
and Hourglass rehearsed,
Hourglass used to rehearse. That's a little trivia for you.
And he's still got some cool guitar, Barry Oakley's old bass.
He's got B.O.'s old bass.
And then the acoustic guitar that
Melissa.
Exactly.
Yeah. The Hummingbird, was it a Hummingbird?
I believe so. That place is a vibe factory.
Yes.
And then Ann cooks. That's the greatest part.
And she does cook.
Oh,
very well,
Lord.
I might add. Yeah.
So tell us what you're up to. What's happening as of late?
Well, this has been a dream come true. Honestly, this guitar, Rick Gimbar and the entire custom shop has just been so good to accommodate us with anything we needed to create the guitar that we felt like we could, if you can improve on, perfection, and a Les Paul was a perfect guitar. I was always, it was so beautiful to me. I remember the first one I ever saw, and I wondered how in the world would I ever get one, but I did at 15.
Right.
We talked about that story last night.
Yes,
I sold
indeed.
my motorcycle to get it. And bought the old one because it was cheaper.
Right.
Little did I know, I'm a 56 model, and I bought the Goldtop 56.
No, we didn't talk about it last night, but do you still have that guitar?
I do have that guitar. I would never sell that guitar. I would never sell. Every mark on her,
was earned.
I did it. When I got it, it had a little checking on it, but nothing. I mean, I just thought the more banged up it got, the better it looked. And 15-year-old kids with motorcycles with it strapped to the back, going in and out of hot rooms and cold
Right.
nights, and it was the only guitar I owned until I was 30 years old.
Ah,
Yeah.
well, you can't go wrong.
Well, it had to be, because living in Texas, I mean, there was that year in New York, but that was pretty rough on it too.
So you went from Texas to New York, and then
Back to Texas.
and then you ended up in Nashville. How long ago?
I was in Nashville, and I was 31 when I
Okay.
moved to Nashville, because there was, as Steve Earle calls it, the Great Integrity Scare. They were signing I Love It, my cousin Robert Earl Keane, Nancy Griffith. So it was like Nashville was warming up to the Texas singer-songwriter thing. Guy Clark and Rodney Crowley had been there for years.
Right.
But I just never really considered Nashville to be a place where I should be. But God kept closing doors, and there was a little window open to Nashville, and I flew through that window, and I'm glad I did, because it changed my life and a lot of people's lives around me, my kids, and it was a good thing. I just, if I hadn't made that move, how could we ever say what would have happened? But,
Sure.
But I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did.
But tell us a little bit about your slide influences. Who got you going on the whole slide thing?
I think, my long history with Bob Wills, my father and Bob were close friends growing up, and I heard that music, and it was so blues. It was just blues,
Right.
What it was. It was jazzed up and faster, and
Right.
and all that sort of thing, and outfitted in beautiful cowboy regalia. But it was blues, and I heard even the guitar players, Eldon Chamlin, Junior Bernard, they were bending strings back then.
Right.
But I think somewhere between that and the steel guitar players that they had, there were no pedals back then, so
Right.
it was really, they were stand up. They didn't lap steels. They had stands,
Right.
but they were no pedals, and so that was probably the first time I'd heard it, and it sounded more expressive to me. But by the time I had started playing guitar, I had a white SG. It was the first really good guitar that I had. It was like a 62 or something like that, with one black P90 pickup.
Oh, cool.
And I bought it for $75 from my music teacher.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't play the dang thing, so I'll sell it to you for what I got in it. I bought it for $75. I didn't have the Les Paul yet, but a buddy of mine who was playing, and had been playing longer than I had, and he was hip to music that I hadn't. Still didn't have a driver's license, so I was kind of landlocked, and he had an 8-track tape. We were riding around one evening, and he popped in this 8-track tape, and I heard, and I said, "What is that?"
Dwayne.
Yeah. He said, "That's a Dwayne Allman. You don't know about Dwayne Allman?" I said, "No. What is a Dwayne Allman? And what is he doing?
Yes.
And how do I do it?" So I set about. It turned my world around. It was the most expressive sound. It sounded like a woman singing to
Right.
me, moaning.
Yep.
Bessie Smith moaning the blues,
Right.
And it was all those little blue notes in between
little
it.
quarter tone thingamabobs.
Yeah, and it just was so sexy to me. It was just, I wanted to do that, so I set out to do that. Dwayne was the one that really got me going, and I owe much of what I do today to him. But I realized a couple of years into it that if I don't stop listening to this guy
Right.
and go a little further back and find out where he got his stuff,
Right.
then I'm going to just, nobody ever remembers the second guy that
Right,
flew
exactly.
across the Atlantic, right? Do you know his name? I don't. I started reading as much as I could, which wasn't much back then. I mean, I think the first Guitar Player magazine that I recall had Ry Cooder on the cover.
Right.
And I'm not sure if that was the first one, but it might have been. Somebody could tell us that. And I went, well, this Ry Cooder guy, he plays slide, it says here.
Right.
And now finding a Ry Cooder record in Stephenville, Texas was a
difficult.
task that no man could
Right.
master. So luckily, Stephen Bruton and Sumter Bruton's dad had a wonderful record store in Fort Worth, which is only 60 miles away from where I grew up. And they carried every esoterical record that you could imagine. They had everything from Muddy Waters to Merle Haggard to, I mean, everything. And sure enough, I found a couple of Ry records over there, Ry Cooder records, and bought them. Took them back, and it was the turntable deal back then.
Yeah.
You know,
I know it well.
Run it back.
Vinyl and beer, as I call it.
Vinyl and beer, yeah. You could use the beer for the slide if you. Sometimes that happened back then.
Exactly.
And that really opened my eyes because Ry was a musicologist, and he was really mining all these wonderful things from Blind Lemon Johnson and Blind Willie McTell and Bucka White and all these guys. So I became a student of his. So there's two great teachers along with that, and then David Lindley and the whole Jackson Brown thing that came along, and the melodic thing from David. I owe a lot to David for that. And of course the West Coast players that came along with that were all wonderful. Bonnie, wonderful. Lowell was just spectacular. Spectacular singer, writer, guitar player. Lost him way too soon. Way too soon. But that gives you a little bit of a roadmap about where I got my roadmap.
Got it. And so who are some of the guys you like to listen to today? I suppose you like when that record Sacred Steel came out, I suppose you didn't.
Boy, I bought them both. 1 and 2, the only ones I
haven't heard the second one. I've only heard the first one.
1 and 2 I bought, and that was just like eye-opening. And then I heard Robert Randolph not long after that, and I went, oh my Lord, I'll never catch up with this guy. And it wasn't about that then or now. It's about finding your own voice. And if there's one thing I could tell young guitar players who are watching this out there in TV land,
Wildwood land.
Yeah, in Wildwood land. It is immensely important for you to find your own voice. I think.
Absolutely. I would concur heartily.
Thank you. I can't say that, but I'll admit to knowing what you said. I know that's true.
And I saw last night when you were showing us some pictures with the Glenn Campbell show, you were hanging out with Jack Pearson, one of my all-time faves.
Jack and I played. I was coming through Murfreesboro, Tennessee we were just playing a little gig in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and Jack came out, and in Jack's fashion, never spoke to me. He's so shy, painfully shy. But a friend of his, who's still with him today, and that's very much like Jack. Once you're his friend forever. I mean, it's just, he's a lovely man. He's just a great guy. And this guy came up to us, and Mike was his name, and he said, I've got this kid over here, and I, oh, great, yeah. And, you know, you got to remember, I'm only like 21. Then. He said, I got this kid over here, and he's really good. And I said, well, we're playing 5 sets a night back then, so I said, we'll bring him up. On the last set, we'll let him play. And he played the whole set. And he said, walked up to me in classic Jack fashion and said, I want to join your band. And I went, I want you to join my band. How do we make that happen? He goes, you got to go talk to my daddy. So the next morning, we went over to his dad's house, mom and dad's house, and his dad never looked up. He just kept smoking. He had a Camel or a Chesterfield or something. I don't think it had a filter. I just remember he was looking straight ahead, and I was talking and talking, and I'll take care of him, and I'll make sure he stays with me, and nothing will happen to him, and all that sort of thing. And he just had enough of it in about 20 minutes, and he just said, "Okay." He said, "Boy, go pack your bag. This man wants to give you a job." Jack got in the van with us, and
off the road you went.
Yeah, and then moved back to Austin and lived with me and my family.
No kidding.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I know. And we're still hanging out after all these years. And he far surpassed me. I mean, Jack is just, he's an amazing, brilliant player. He can do anything from jazz, West Montgomery, Django.
You name it.
Great slide player, just really, really terrific. And Kev Moe was next to me that night, if you recall. Kev, I turned the camera on Kev, and he went like a rhinestone cowboy. I was thinking, yeah, I could see that. Kev doing rhinestone cowboy. Yeah. And he's a terrific musician and a great friend. He's my workout buddy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We go to the gym together.
I need to go with you.
When we go to the gym.
That's the trick.
Yeah, when we go to the gym.
Is the going to the gym.
Once you get there, it's fine, but it's getting there.
So what kind of recording project you working on? What's happening for this year? What you got?
I got about 3 records in the can right now. And I've just sort of been waiting to see where the dust settles and I kind of know now how this whole thing is going to work out. I mean, when the fall of the recording industry as we knew it happened, it sort of left me and a lot of other people wondering, how do we do this? How do we distribute records? How do we get paid?
Right.
If we get paid.
Right.
Do we get paid? And I won't get into all of that, but it's I feel comfortable enough now to go ahead and move on and start putting out these records. Because you start figuring out, I'm 55 years old, and I got a lot of work to do. I got a lot I want to still do.
Yep. So
I can't go the way I used to go, 3 and 4 years between albums, sometimes 5.
Right.
That was the back in the day of the Eagles and when people did go 4 and 5 years between records and would tour for 2 or 3 years in a row. I mean, just bam, bam, bam. Right. But not anymore. I mean, and I think it's good. I really think it's healthy. But to answer your question, yes, it probably put out 2 albums this year, I would imagine, at least. Probably.
Excellent.
And maybe we do, I've had some guys tell me, some old record guys who are now embracing this and saying, nah, put out 4 sides at a time. And maybe that's the way we do it. We'll find out. We're going to try a couple of different things. But one thing we are going to do is that the website, LeroyParnell.com, will be home. All Facebook, all that stuff.
Sure.
It's all moving everything back there. So we're working on the site now. It looks ancient. Looks like Thomas Edison set that one up. But we've got some good folks working on it, and I'm taking bids and things and watching to see how the creative process works for those web builders, because that's a very creative thing too.
Right.
Unless they get a template and just fill in the blanks, and that's not what I want.